So what are the pros and cons of being a technical CEO, and how long do you think it should continue? Philosophically, I'm not asking when you plan to step down or anything, right? But in the life cycle of the company, I'm sure you have done this kind of soul searching, right? So I see value. I consider myself to be a technical CEO. I'm fairly technical. I'm not involved in day-to-day coding, but still I see value in this. So what is your take on that?
I think if you're building a developer tool or anything that inherently is catering to a technical audience, I would almost say it's almost a requirement to be a technical founder. I think the reason is if you're not, one is you just move way slower in the beginning because the person that's doing all the heavy lifting typically is the engineering or like the technical foundations. And the second is you just wouldn't have as much empathy for like the audience that you're trying to build for. And I think one of the things that contributed to our success was just the insane volume that we shipped in the beginning, given the small team size. And I think just being able to actually really, really deeply understand some of the problems at a very technical level, anticipate where the field is going, and also build the right tooling at the right level of abstraction. I think all that stuff really mattered, especially since on the open source side, like everything is code, right? And so your product is the code that you present to the end user for them to use. And so I do think for a lot of at least I can only say, speak from experience with infra, the dev tooling, AI tools, that type of stuff. It is actually quite important to be pretty technical in this space. I think inevitably you have to scale, right? I think it's, in the beginning, it's important to probably do things that don't scale, like echoing Paul Graham's essay. You want to do things that you want to go through the process of trying to do things yourself to learn, gain an intuition for what's actually needed and who you want to hire for. So for instance, we've gone through the process of the founders go through, trying to actually scope out the product roadmap, trying to iterate on the UXs of any sort of higher level product that we're building, going through the process of obviously being recruiters, being the people that hire the initial folks within the company, doing a lot of user discovery and sales as well. And so being able to have dozens of user conversations a week, really refining how you do discovery of pain points, issues, and then how to filter that back into your product roadmap. And then eventually, once you have a product, being able to engage in the sales process. And so we've been doing all of that. And I think throughout these realizations, we actually realized, especially for a deeply technical company, what you really need in the beginning is just engineering velocity and talent. I think, and I'm sure there's other ways of doing this too. And we're at a point where we do want to look for our first non-technical hire. So far, as of the time of this podcast, we have not made one quite yet, but we are looking for one pretty soon, especially since we have an enterprise offering as well. And we're trying to scale up a lot of BD efforts and kind of trying to make the whole product process more efficient. But I think it's engineering is probably by far the most important thing in the beginning. And the engineering, the pace at which you're able to ship, and the quality of the things that you're shipping.